Water is the one liquid we need, yet most of us are dehydrated. So how do we fix it? Skip the sugary drinks. Enjoy. ...
I'm going to go ahead and come out.
This is where I'd talk about what I liked in my first box if I hadn't already been using them since the beginning of the year. Cook Unity is the first chef-to-you meal delivery service.
All right. So, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? How y'all doing tonight? We are live. Sorry about the 15-minute delay. And first of all, as always, want to give honor and praise to the Most High. Thank all of you as well for joining in tonight. Make sure when you come in, give us a what's up, shalom, peace and blessings. All of those things. Also, let us know where you're coming from if this is your first time. Also, if it's your first time, please subscribe to the channel and also like and share the video. And today we're going to continue on with a story that we covered 2 days ago. If y'all guys were tuned into the live, you heard the story of Joshua James Daniels, right? Or McDaniels.
Correct. Joshua James McDaniels.
Joshua James Daniels. Now, just to give you a recap, you know we have been covering several stories, mainly the Javion McGee story, who was found under suspicious circumstances, September the 11th, 2024. And so that opened up a whole lot of cases where we finding black men all over the country being found under suspicious circumstances, most importantly, being suspended in trees from ropes. Now, we talked about Denoris Richardson, who was in Alabama around the September the 25th, 26th. He was found. We talked about Jacoby Lindsay, who was around August the 30th. No, excuse me, not August the 30th. That was Evan Brown in Texas. Jacoby Lindsay was 2 or 3 days after my brother Javion. So now we're going a little bit further back. 25-year-old Joshua James, and we do have his mom, Melina, here, was found in Stillwater, Oklahoma on June the 4th.
That's correct. I'm sorry, April 4th. April 4th.
April 4th. Okay, yeah, so that's about 6 months ago.
Yes.
In Boomer State Park, or Lake Boomer State Park, Boomer Lake Park in Stillwater,
Boomer
Oklahoma,
Lake.
with suspended from a tree by a rope. So this is his mother right here. And once again, we want to first of all offer our condolences to you. This mother has been fighting for her son. If you saw the last show, you saw how vigilant she was and, analyzing, collecting evidence, going to the scene, talking to detectives, getting information, and she's just been so vigilant. So tonight, we're going to revisit that case and let her show you some more things that she has had to deal with in trying to get justice for her son. First of all, how you doing, Marlena?
I'm doing probably about as best as can be expected, but I really appreciate the work that you're doing here, Mr. Taylor, in covering these stories and giving us a platform. I was just looking in the chat that someone said I'm from the 405 OKC, never heard of this case. And so, this is why you've been doing this, and your impact has been much needed in this season for many families and just community-wide. So I feel blessed tonight to be able to be on and be able to talk about Joshua, because he deserves to not be forgotten. The truth deserves to get out, and when proven appropriate, justice deserves to be served for him and all of the other families. And so I'm glad to be here tonight. Thank you.
All right. So just to give a recap of the situation, 25-year-old Joshua was reported to had got in a conversation with this girl girlfriend one night. Evidently, she decided to end the relationship, and it was said that Joshua walked out of the house. One detective said he walked out of the house and never came back. Another detective said he walked out of the house, walked back in, then walked out, and then he was found reportedly the next morning at a park, approximately a 5-minute drive from where he lived, but he didn't drive, he walked, according to the reports.
Allegedly.
And then, allegedly, he was found again suspended in a tree, not by rope, but they said by his jackets. He tied the jacket strings around the tree and leaned forward ever so gently, and it was just enough pressure to cause asphyxiation and terminate his life. Sounds familiar? That's what our dear brother Sheriff Brame said. So now we're going to get into some other information that the mother wants to share with you guys, just to really see how the investigation has been inconsistent and a lot of the things that she has to.
At Vistaprint, we print your brand on everything so your customers can notice you, remember you,
deal with finding justice for her son. So you have the floor, Marlena.
I appreciate you, sir. So I did kind of create an outline to just try to stay on track. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to release a lot of information tonight. If we have time, we may get to some audio clips. We're definitely going to look at some video that I put together ahead of the first live that we did here on Taylor House Publishing. And you all are going to see the things that unfortunately me and one of my other sons, as I have 4 boys, Joshua's now my angel son, when we went to the tree, the alleged tree and place where he allegedly took his last breath. And so I've got a lot lined up and I'm going to try to move quickly, but we do appreciate any, thoughts, questions, opinions in the chat. And again, Mr. Taylor, if you need to stop me or chime in on something or draw some patternistic similarities, feel free. But otherwise, I'm going to try to stay focused so we can get through it all. It's a lot. All right. So the first one, if you're able to pull it up, was just simply, there was an email about their attempt to silence. I don't know if you can pull that one up. If you can, great. If not, no worries.
I can get that one.
You see that one? So this was just
second,
literally, no problem. I'll just talk about it while you're pulling it up on screen. So this was just a screenshot of something that I found after I did start going a little bit public. I would say probably about a month and a half in with the details, because as Mr. Taylor said, when my son was allegedly found, before they could even notify me as the identified next of kin from the girlfriend to police, they had already gotten to 3 media sources to make sure that they could say body found at Stillwater, Boomer Lake Park, no foul play, right? Yes, you guys are seeing stuff in Stillwater. You're wondering about the extreme police presence. We're going to talk about what people saw, how many people were actually on scene in terms of officers. And in that occurring, make sure we go ahead and tell everybody there's no foul play, right? And so that was obviously very disturbing, and it's actually how we knew that the officers at our door were probably getting ready to give us some bad news. It's because they had already talked to the media to say there's nothing to see. Everybody go back to business as usual. And unfortunately, since that day, I have not been able to, and I will not until I get truth and transparency, accountability for my son's passing. So with that said, there were some light details that I shared. Yes, I grew up in Silicon Valley, raised my boys in North Texas. We do live in diverse communities. And so that means a lot of the people that were a part of Joshua's upbringing were part of memorializing him, because of the racial dynamics in this case. For those of you that are watching for the first time, yes, his girlfriend was white. Yes, he's Black. Yes, her dad is a member of Oklahoma State law enforcement, retired Oklahoma State trooper. And so with those dynamics and Black men found hanging in a tree an hour from Tulsa, Oklahoma, I did know that could turn into something that was more than we all collectively could handle as a family and a community in that moment. And so didn't get into sharing all those details. About a month and a half in, I started to share more publicly on Instagram, did some lives. And as I was starting to do that, if you have it pulled up, Mr. Taylor, were you able to find it? Did I lose you? Oh, okay, good.
Okay, just 1 second. I'm still looking for it.
You're fine. So if it does pull up, if not, we can go on. But basically, at some point when I started talking and sharing greater details, I did a 1 hour Instagram live. And after I did that, I noticed at some point by Google search that there had been a post from the Stillwater Police Department's Facebook page that says, Marlena Christopher, you do not need to share private details. And then if you try to click on it now, it's gone. Because someone probably told them it's not the best idea, right? One, you don't tell grieving family members what they can and can't talk about. My son died in a public park, greeted by public servants that do have a sense of responsibility to be transparent, to be accountable to the public. So yeah, if things had been done properly, we wouldn't be here tonight, right? If things had been done properly, I wouldn't need to do this 6 months later, but I've given it 6 months. I've been patient. I've tried to work with them. I've also been denied in the last couple of weeks. You'll see some of that stuff that we're gonna go over tonight. And so I'm forced to do this. And again, I'm glad y'all are here for it. So do you have that pulled up, or you want me to go ahead and move to the next thing?
Actually, yeah. If you can actually review the information yourself, because my computer is still loaded. I'm not in my normal environment, so
Okay.
it's I mean, it's still circling. So
No worries.
if you can share
What
the
I'm
information.
What I'm wondering is if I can, oh, it's gonna let me share screen. Present, I think it will. Give me just one moment.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna let me share my screen. So let me go ahead and go into my email first and I'll pull it up. That's not a problem at all. We are prepared for this. So if y'all could just bear with me for one moment, please.
And once again, I thank everybody for tuning in. What's going on, everyone? Everyone, make sure you hit the like button. Excuse me, share, subscribe if you have not. And once again, shout out to everyone who has been following, supporting, and tuning in on all of these shows.
Okay. I think I've got the first document. And I'm going to go ahead and go back to my StreamYard so I can share my screen and put it in presentation mode. Thank y'all for bearing with me. All right. It says I'm presenting. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. I can't do 2 monitors, but that's okay. I can do what I can do. Let's see here.
Appreciate y'all.
Okay.
Appreciate y'all.
Okay, can you see my screen now?
Hold on. I will add the screen. There you go. I will actually, there it goes right here.
Okay, so this was just simply what I did find. So you all can see here at the top, it says Facebook Stillwater Police Department. 6 months ago, 120 plus reactions. Marlena Christopher, you do not have to disclose private information to anyone. We understand that the hurt is extreme and you have to answer ... I'm going to go ahead and come out of this because the reality is no, I should not be the one to have to answer anything. That is actually the official job of law enforcement. And it is unfortunate that I'm even having to. But I just wanted to show you all that.
I didn't understand that when you first said it, and I have an echo. If anybody else can hear that echo, but so you mean to tell me the whoever police department put your name on their website, on their Facebook page, named you by name, and said that you don't have to share personal information?
Could you see that on my screen? Did it come up?
Yeah, we saw it. We saw it, but when you first told me about it, like them trying to silence you, and you sent it to me, it really didn't comprehend. I didn't really comprehend what you were saying. So you saying that the whoever police department said that you didn't have to share information, and they named you by name. Now Did they cause any of your posts to be taken down?
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because I actually started out pretty early. I had some honoring the life of Joshua, celebrating his life, coming together. And then I created a Justice for Joshua James Facebook page, Facebook group, I should say. It's private. And even within the private group, after you started breaking coverage on the Javion McGee case, and I saw how much, because the public, all of you, started saying, what is happening? We want transparency. The weekend I was watching that, I was like, okay, it's time, because this should not continue to keep happening. I looked at Javion, looked at my son. They both have similar hair. I mean, just the whole dynamic is, why is this happening again? Both in their early 20s. And so I started sharing a lot of stuff in my Justice for Joshua James group. And literally all of the people that were in there trying to share with me, I got messages back from probably about 9 different people that said, hey, we commented on your post. We tried to share it. We got it blocked. It was all taken down. So actually there has been quite a bit of interference when we've tried to do anything on Facebook. But yes, apparently they originally did put that post out to me. When you click on it from Google now, it doesn't go to an actual post. And what I'm assuming someone probably had enough decency and wisdom to do was to tell them that's the wrong way to go. Number one, because again, it is rude and disrespectful to the family to tell them your loved one is dead. Shut up. We don't want you giving private details. Again, if they handled themselves properly and appropriately at any time in the past 6+ months, I wouldn't have to share private information. We could keep it private, but people go public only when they're forced to. Second of all, if they didn't just get that general advice that it's a bad look, and you don't tell family members they have to be quiet and they can't talk about the loss of their loved ones. The other part is what I said on the other live. This is unfortunately not my first time and my first rodeo dealing with rather large corrupt groups of law enforcement. And in 2016, I had to spend some time and go underground. I had to do a massive public evidence dump to fight a narrative that they tried to create. And so they know I'm good for it, that telling me to be silent is only going to make me get louder. So just start with that. Tonight, we're getting loud. We have to be. You've been continuing to get loud. You all have been continuing to show up for it. Again, if they're doing their jobs in a manner that is worthy of public trust, then maybe we have to do this a little bit less. But this is where we find ourselves. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to open records request. Now, what we are going to cover is open records requests that I made to Stillwater PD, and this was done on October 1st. This was done after I'd gotten an email from the detective that, yes, the case is officially closed out. This was during an email chain where I had requested for the 3rd time, can I please get the passcode to my son's phone? Because for those of you that listened before, you know that the detective told me in the very first conversation with her the very next morning, the very next day after he was allegedly found, that the girlfriend had his password, she had his, well, they had each other's passwords. And so basically they were able to get into his phone immediately. And so when I was able to pick up his phone, his wallet, his vape, 3 months later, okay, they didn't give me the PIN code. And I had sent 2 other emails. And so again, after the Javion McGee case and watching the power of what you've done here, Mr. Taylor, what other YouTubers, all the public had been doing and uncovering and also debunking some of the narratives that were being given through mainstream media and other sources, you know, I thought, I'm going to take another stab at this, right? I need to be able to get accurate information. And so I was able to reference the case and to also tell them, this past weekend has been tormenting. I've been watching everything happening in the Javion McGee case. Of course, it's heartbreaking that it happened, but what it has shown me is that no request that I've made of this department at any time was an unreasonable, abnormal, unduly burdensome request. These are things that law enforcement need to produce when someone is found hanging, right? And so I reminded them of that fact, and I'm saying now, nationally, we're watching that. By the way, can I get my son's PIN code? And this time they actually did give it to me. They did share probably the most thoughtful email, I think, at that point to try to convince me he really did do this. The detective actually says in that email, look, we don't believe that the girlfriend's involved in any way, except being the catalyst for him making this decision. They actually do say, we agree that she was the catalyst, right? So whether she was directly involved or family was directly involved, again, I have said I'm not making that claim because you got to be careful with allegations, okay, on public platforms. And so I'll just say that they did finally give me the PIN code, but that was only after you all did what you did here and you didn't stay silent. So if that encourages and helps anyone else that maybe your family is going through similar situations, I was afraid at first, but sometimes going public and going live is the best thing and the only thing that you're left to do. I was really left at tail end, wit's end, nothing else I could do besides do this. Okay, so now I went ahead and did an open records request because she also said in that email, you can go ahead and email our records department to get your case file. And I did that. And I mentioned in the last live that there was actually, I want to say his name was Robert. If I'm incorrect, I will correct that in the chat after this is over, but he was apparently the records supervisor there at Stillwater PD. He responded with the simple
Every Halloween, she copies me. But at Michael's, we
email that says Stillwater PD doesn't give out case records on cell phone alignments. Again, immediately I went to Google, looked at Oklahoma statutes, codes, laws pertaining to case records, Freedom of Information Act requests, and it says absolutely yes. And furthermore, they should do body cam and dash cam when they are appearing at these scenes. And so when I responded, just simply copy paste, email back, doesn't work for me. The law says actually you do. They said, okay, yep, got it. You got us. We do have to release body cam and dash cam. However, as you can see, we have the right to be able to delete or redact is what they call it, cover up any possible images of the deceased. So no problem, but they said that because of the fact that there's almost 8 hours of video and audio, that redaction job will probably cost $350. And so if you want the truth, then you got to pay for it. The Emmy report, we're going to go over that tonight. They have an exemption at the Emmy's office there in Oklahoma City that says, again, when people's family members have passed, this probably shouldn't be the time that we engage in a money grab, especially since we're already being paid by taxpayers, right? And so I didn't have to pay for the Emmy report, thankfully, but Stillwater PD is still looking for a payment of $180 before they'll start the process, to which I pay the balance when they finish giving me the redacted stuff. So also, if at some point, if you don't mind putting the Cash App up there and the Venmo, if you all can help in any way with that, they need to have money to be able to do their job and give me the truth. I would like to get that truth. Okay, so open records request. I'm going to go ahead and pull that up on my end. Mr. Taylor asked them to explain how she was the catalyst. Basically, I do want to answer that. This was a situation where they had been together for 2.5 years. My son had lived independently on his own in his own apartment, working, paying his own bills, multiple different occasions. He was 25. I believe she was 22, had just graduated within a year from college. And I'm not going to say where, because if I want my location to remain secret, I'm not going to put theirs out there. But anyways, this was the first time she was moving into an apartment in her name. And she even did a Facebook post, because we were on each other's social media, that they put hands on keys as soon as they got the keys in July of last year, moving into their apartment in Stillwater, saying she's so excited. She got her first apartment, that both of us have worked so hard to save for 2 years to get here, right? So that's his work, his money put into it just as much. I did find out after he passed that his name was not actually on the lease. Now, my son has a criminal record. I imagine the only reason this could have occurred, they lived at a rather nice complex that was next to a golf course. He was in a situation back in 2018 or 2019 when he lived with roommates that didn't pay their portion of the rent. They got evicted. So sometimes that can affect things. And so I would assume that's the only reason that he wasn't listed on the apartment, that he toured with her, that they got together. And this was actually a matter that I mentioned to the detective about her credibility. In the last live, if you go back and look at it or listen to it, or those of you that were there, I mentioned something along the lines of at some point asking Detective Rachel Bruce, which was the primary detective on this case, Lieutenant Cody Manuel, which is her boss, and the one that gave us the first story of how our son was found, how my son was found. Basically, I asked them, why did you deem the ex-girlfriend, she said they had a breakup 12 hours before he wound up allegedly found dead, found in the tree. Why did you take her as so credible? Because typically if there is a breakup in any kind of relationship, within months, weeks, days, definitely hours, the surviving party to that relationship is typically in law enforcement investigations of people no longer living. The surviving party is typically number one suspect, not number one solo witness. They came in, told us the story, we're good, he's bagged and tagged, case closed, nothing to see here. And that's what happened in his case. By the time I talked with the detective around 3:30, 4 o'clock the next day, the first words out of her mouth is, my case is pretty much done. The only reason it's open is we're waiting on the ME report. And of course, if we get to the audio, one of the things I ask her, what was his last text messages? What was his last phone calls? And she then has to tell me, I haven't even gone through his phone yet, right? So the catalyst is they had this apartment together. She also had a vehicle. He was paying her for the vehicle. He was driving his primary vehicle. He was working 5 income streams. He worked with Amazon Flex. He worked with DoorDash. The other one was one of the other food delivery services. He worked for Stadium people out there at the stadium there in Stillwater, and he worked for Stillwater ISD, which is also her employer that she still works for today. And so again, he carried primary insurance on that vehicle. They talked about it as his. There was even a text that I found with her asking why an insurance payment came out of the joint account, because they had separate accounts where he would deposit money into that account for the rent. So it was their apartment. And if you listen to the last live, or you go back and listen, or you were there, then you also hear us talk about when I was trying to retrieve my son's things, how she hyperventilated and said, how dare you call my complex? This is my apartment. I'm not having this conversation, and hung up. But basically, what is the gist of this? The catalyst being everything he had been doing for 2.5 years, they were centered around a life together, right? All of his finances, while he was paying for his own apartment hours away before they moved out to Stillwater together, he was also saving for the Stillwater apartment. The vehicle, again, he was making payments. I now have evidence of that from the phone, paying the insurance, using it for his job. So his whole life was wrapped up in what they had together in Stillwater, right? And so for her to, one of the things she tells me the next morning is, I'm so sorry. He loved me so much. He was so good to me. He was trying so hard. He was such a good person. I can't believe I was so stupid to let things like money get in the way. And she told me she wanted to break up with him over money. And that's what happened. She then is actually the one that said that if they had difficult conversations, he'd go sit in his car, right, downstairs. Now I say his car, it turns out that somehow she was advised, maybe having a law enforcement dad, I don't know, to keep everything in her name, right? She would say that he would go sit in the car that he drove, that was his car. He would take some time just to process, and then sometimes just come back up. Well, she said the night that she advised him, you know what, even with 5 jobs, you don't make enough and I don't want to do this anymore, that he went to his car, sat out there for a little bit, came back up, they talked some more, and then he left again. So she was actually the one that told me that he left twice. The detective, when I talked to her after talking to the girlfriend, the ME, and then the detective for the first time that second day after he was found on April 5th, the detective says they had an argument, he left, and the next time he was seen again was at Boomer Lake Park. Now, because I had already talked with the girlfriend, I already knew she said twice. So I made sure in that conversation, again, all conversations recorded. It's a one-party state in Oklahoma. Half of our states are. It means you can record conversations you're a party to, whether the other person knows or not. I'm not a fool, and my son just died. Of course I recorded, right? So well, let me just say this. For all the families that are going through it, your natural instinct is not to record. I also mentioned in the last live how I was actually prepared by a Black father and also a member of law enforcement, who, while he still serves in law enforcement to this day, he also lost his 26-year-old son and was lied to by police. And so because I talked to him the morning after, he told me, when you go down there to Stillwater, you're not going as a grieving mother, you're going as an investigator. You have to see what they're willing to tell you on their own, what they're willing to provide on their own, how transparent they're going to be, what they hold back, because you have to do the job of investigator to even possibly attract an attorney that might help you. That's your job when you go down there. And so that also helped to prepare me to record everything. Although again, because of what I've dealt with the system, even before that conversation, I recorded the interaction, even at the door and the notification call. So all of that said, basically, you know, she's in this position where she says, you know, didn't want the relationship anymore, basically told him it was over. He went to the complex next to theirs. I think it was called the Greens or something. I asked her, did she have any friends? You know, did he have any friends there? She said, well, he had acquaintances and, you know, people from the skate park that knew him. Don't really know about friends because everything was all about her. That move was about her. She had friends down there. She was wanting to get a job down there. And he supported whatever she did, right? And so when she's telling me that basically she told him that she broke up, and then I get the context that everything is in her name, I still know that my son did not do this to himself. However, why would the detective understand under these circumstances that she'd definitely be the catalyst? Because if the man's working 5 different income streams, he's dedicated 2.5 years of his life, his savings, into everything that you now own in your name, and you tell him, done with you, you have nothing, I'm going to bed, that could be what we call a catalyst. I could be wrong, right? But he didn't do it. We're going to show in this particular live the things that he was planning on. She tried to say that he was on meds and he would get low. And so I think that the meds just helped him go ahead and release the edge to make that decision. Well, if that's the case, that means that she also had knowledge that he was in a vulnerable position, right? And still chose to send him out into the middle of the night with nothing because everything's in my name. Haha, gotcha. And then that's a whole nother nefarious situation that we have going on. If she actually believed that he was in such a bad state, he had to be on meds, and then you still did this. So either way, I would agree with the detective. And there was the lieutenant and another officer in that email chain when Detective Rachel Bruce finally agrees, well, she didn't do this. We're still saying your son did it. Yes, we can see that she would be the catalyst, but that's about it. Again, time will tell. We're going to go through the facts and see what you all think. All right. So that said, I see some things about that she was using him and taking advantage of him. I felt like they both loved each other. They were literally inseparable, but the way that it has turned out now, I can see where you all would draw that conclusion, and it is now not very far from my perception of truth and reality about the situation. It's a very cold thing to do. All right, so open records request, here we go. I'm gonna pull this up on my side, Mr. Taylor, we good? Do you have any questions, thoughts, anything you wanna interject?
Nah, let's see that request.
All right, here we go. So I'm going to my request. I'm gonna pull this up on the screen.
We've always believed that sport has the power to change lives. It's happened here for decades.
Okay, my records request. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just thanking the audience for tuning in, commenting, interacting. Appreciate y'all. Much love, much peace, much blessings.
Okay, so I'm, presenting. I'm gonna share my screen again. Okay. All right, I'm going to my email. Here we go. All right, can you all see the open record?
Here we go.
Can you see it?
Yeah, they can see it now.
All right, perfect. So open records request, as you can see, so when you go through their website and submit it, apparently it emails it to you. So this is October 1st, 5:53 p.m. Type of record, police report. It's for a person.
Hold on.
Collision.
I done did something. let's do this right here. All right, let's try it again. There we go. All
Okay.
right, go ahead.
Can you see it now? Okay. So the first
Yeah.
part was my information and date and time, but we're going to go ahead and get into it. Record information, name of person involved, my son, Joshua James McDaniels, type of report. I say it's unattended death, alleged self-unaliving by hanging. Case number R24-01527. If anyone's listening and wants to have the case number, the date of the incident, allegedly 4/4/2024. So I'm going to go ahead and read through this. This is what I request. Please provide the full and complete record of all releasable parts that constitute the quote-unquote complete Stillwater PD record surrounding the finding, death determination, notification, investigation, and closing of any and all cases surrounding the death of Joshua James McDaniels, born 7/24/98. Please include the or any multiple 911 calls on a flash drive, not CD, of the alleged discovery of his quote-unquote body found, allegedly at Boomer Lake Park in Stillwater, Oklahoma, or any other location. I have had some information come to me that there are multiple people in Oklahoma that have already been talking in areas far away from Stillwater that say they know my son didn't do this to himself. So that's why I mentioned that's where they're claiming he was found. That's where local residents saw activity, but I have gotten direct information from others hours away that somehow they know that my son didn't do this to himself. So that's why I mentioned or any other location. Please include all audio, video, written, including pictures of any and all responding law enforcement personnel, medical examiners, or other public officials who responded to the scene and or took Joshua's body and or items found on his body into their custody, or for whom they were involved in any inspection of his body and or property found on and or with his body. Please include any and all interviews, interview notes, videos and audios, and all phone, text, or other records / searches of Joshua's, his ex-girlfriend's, or any other party that was a person of interest, witness, or suspect at any time. Please include any and all information and reports done to investigate and or reach a determination of quote-unquote no foul play assumptions and determinations. Please include video clips from the front door camera of the former residence of Joshua McDaniels and any and all other investigative notes, communications, interdepartmental and external, pertaining to any other information discovered about the home, keys, vehicle, or other related property being utilized or co-owned and or shared by and with Joshua McDaniels. Please include any and all communication notes, emails, or other quote-unquote records involving all third parties, inquiring about, giving, or receiving information pertaining to Joshua McDaniels, and any details surrounding and or including his alleged finding and cause of death from, by, or to Stillwater Police Department, any other law enforcement agency, like perhaps possibly state police, district attorney's office, or medical examiner's office, including reports to or from any and all media and all witnesses. Please include the names of all law enforcement personnel involved at any time in the discovery, response to, viewing, and or investigation of Joshua's body and death, including but not limited to the school resource officer that notified Joshua's ex-girlfriend, as well as any and all communications to notify the next of kin mother and brother of Joshua McDaniels. I list my name and his brother's name, one of his brother's name. Please produce everything mentioned, including but not limited to all not mentioned / requested here, to show the beginning, middle, and end of anything surrounding Joshua's death in any way, including any and all conversations had to place his items into inventory and or release them to third parties of the girlfriend's family and or any other person. Please include all communication to, from, or with the mother of Joshua McDaniels, the father, his father's name, or any other maternal or paternal family members of Joshua or the girlfriend, including the parents of the girlfriend. I mentioned their names, surrounding making Stillwater PD a proposed property exchange location or more. That was a request she made. Please include any and all reports about the environment, weather, and surrounding conditions of the scene in which Joshua's body was allegedly, quote unquote, found dead. Please include all communications with any and all medical examiners, coroners, and any other professional that reached the conclusion that there is no need for any autopsy and or further thorough investigation. Please include any and all emails or notes about calls pertaining to Joshua from 4/4/24 to date. Please include all evidence logs pertaining to his property, including any and all communications about the release of his property or partial release of his property to myself, girlfriend, and or any other party. Please include any and all inventory listings. Please include printouts of any and everything taken from Joshua's phone. So that was my request. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen.
That's a very detailed request. Very detailed.
I'm trying to come back into the stream. Okay, so I don't know if yeah, so basically that was the request. Yes, it was very detailed. And I was like, I think I've covered everything. So this is what came back.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
that was my next question. What was the response to that?
Right. So the basic response was this basic report that, again, they should have given a long time ago. I had actually made a phone call to their records department in the same week that he passed. The person said, just send me a quick email. I'll send you just the call sheet. And I think she's talking about what I have now, which I didn't get back in April, May, June, July, August, September, and not till October. Why did it have to get to this point? I don't know, but this is what I got. So I'm going to present again and share screen, and we're going to go over, I don't know if this is a call sheet. I don't know what you would call it, but this is the only thing I was given as a response to that request. One moment, I've got it. Sharing screen. Mr. Taylor, do you see it, sir?
There we go. It's over there now.
All right, here we go.
What's up,
So
man?
printed October 4th, 2024. Y'all, we're talking 13 days ago. Again, he allegedly was found April 4th. Again, condolences to the McGee family. But again, like I told his dad, thank you all for standing up, fighting for him, all of you in the public. Mr. Taylor, again, we don't often know how our acts of assertiveness, investigation, relentless pursuit for the truth, how they impact others. And you all gave me strength to be able to do what I'm doing now in October. So October 4th, they printed this. CFS number, I don't know, it's CFS 24011470. Call taker, apparently someone named Lisa Merle. The location, they have the address there. It says Boomer Lake North. Primary incident code, found body. Additional incident codes, ambulance call. Priority 4, I don't know what that means. Use caution, no. Primary disposition, it's a report. Beat 1, zone 2. Call time, 9:31, 15 seconds. Completed time, 13:05 and 28 seconds. So that means from approximately 9:30 a.m., those don't know military time, 1:05 p.m. And so this would probably be why they say that they do have at least almost 8 hours of body and dash cam. They were out there for a while, which is why me and one of my sons finding anything left behind on the scene is so disturbing, because you all will see there's plenty of people out there and they had plenty of time to not leave the plastic tightener to his jacket at the scene for us to find the next day. So report type is April 4th, admin. I don't know what that means. So it says reporters, initial reporter, they've redacted that person's name. The other names is my son. It says Joshua James McDaniels, victim, has his sex, date of birth, address redacted. It says vehicles, there's nothing about the vehicles, but responders. We see that the primary responders, it looks like, was a Rob Hill from SEMA. I believe, as I did some Googling to figure out what this was, I believe this is the Stillwater Emergency Management Agency, and did some further research. I feel pretty confirmed that that's who he is with, but I do still believe that's a part of the Stillwater law enforcement system. So he was primary. E3 from SFD, which I believe is the Stillwater Fire Department. If y'all have some other information, any locals in the chat that can give some feedback on that. Looks like that might have been the fire truck, perhaps, Stillwater Fire Department, I don't know. The next person, it says there's a Todd Perry, and all the rest of these are SPD, standing for Stillwater PD, all is primary. Todd Perry, Cody Manuel, that is the lieutenant that did the original notification call. I will say that Cody Manuel actually, when I finally started to express my concerns with how the investigation was going, he was able to get some things going, including saying that he would ask Detective Rachel Bruce to allow me to have a meeting with her to view the pictures from the scene. Also, his school district, he has death benefits. They weren't really providing much information or responding to emails. So he reached out to their head of HR, and then I got an official letter that says, basically, until you file probate, we won't talk to you. But, you know, Cody Manuel did get those two things going. And of course, if you listened before, Rachel Bruce, the morning that I was supposed to go and view pictures, canceled the appointment, stating she didn't think as a mother I should see my son that way. Again, I don't think that I should be dealing with his death in this way, but here's where I find myself. The second thing is she says she doesn't think it's good for the investigation after already admitting there is no investigation, right? We're just purely holding the case open, waiting for the Emmy report. The girlfriend told us what happened. She was forthcoming. She brought us the bottle, which was full, by the way. And again, we'll see how there was no indication whatsoever anywhere that he was on any meds or anything like that. And we'll also see an article that talks about the danger of them not doing autopsies in Oklahoma and how skilled individuals can make a third-party unalivement look like a self-unalivement if autopsies aren't done. So we'll get into that. But that's Lieutenant Cody Manuel. He gave one version of how my son was found, saying that he basically wrapped his jacket strings completely around his neck to choke himself, is what he said. And then when we asked where his body was now, this would have been around 5 o'clock that evening, 4:35. He said his body is being taken to the Oklahoma City Medical Examiner's office. They will autopsy him there. That is on audio. That is what the lieutenant said, because that's standard protocol. However, we now know, for some reason, quote unquote, that autopsy never happened. Why? We need answers to that. The next person here, Detective Rachel Bruce, that was the lead detective. She gave a different narrative of just applied pressure, that my son's feet were always on the ground, that he was standing up, leaning peacefully to his death on the tree. Totally different version of how he was found from the other individual that she was on scene with. So how they have two different stories, I do not understand, but I guess at this point, hopefully we're gonna get some information. James Droscher, it looks like William Cluck and Ryan Sexton. So it looks like those were the individuals actually on scene. Talks about the assigned time, the arrived time, when the call was completed. And basically there's not a whole lot of notes here. It says external agency numbers, PO 47, James Droscher. I don't know what that means or what that's for. And these look like dispatch notes. It just simply says at 9:32:16, south to the first point, subject hanging in tree. Then it's dispatch, and then it says at 4:24, 9:35. I don't know why they redact who was walking towards Airport Road to meet. Perhaps that was the witness. I don't know. I see that there was some form of a signal from a Benjamin Brecken that he notates, maybe it's a dispatcher, signal 30, and then I see Brian Porter says LifeNet canceled per 47. Then they've got arrived, clearing alarms, unit beat. If anybody knows what any of this stuff means, would love to know. But that's what we have, right? Again, a bunch of numbers and very little information. That's the response that I got. And then the further response I got was, yes, you're correct. So let me stop sharing my screen. Has it stopped sharing now?
Yeah, it has.
Okay, good. So I'm going to pull up the next thing. So I got that very basic report. And then I basically got an email that says, after I told them the law says, yes, you do provide records in this type of case, that yes, we will do it, but there's a cost. And so I'll go ahead and pull that up.
It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep your operation running. That's why at Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Oh, there's one other record in here that I'll show, and it looks like it's a clearing report, some type of, give me 1 second.
Just a comment, I see that everybody's giving you kudos. Lady said, if I had a child and this happened, I couldn't pull it all together like this mom. Kudos to her. Face, fuchsia flower shape. I don't know what that means, but a lot of people are, like I said, the mom is definitely on it. We stand behind you. Yeah, so
Thank you.
So people are, people. One lady says, "Mom, go ahead and pull it up though. Mom is extremely intelligent and on it. She can represent herself and win. Has any attorneys reached out to her? I guess not, right?
Not at this time. I have spoken with one that is known to a lot of people. One of the things I've learned is when you're dealing with clear, I'll say abuse of power, corruption, I learned over years, over 11 years, if there happens to be anyone that is willing to help in any capacity, either officially or in the background, you don't mention names, so I hope y'all can respect that. I would say that to say that does not mean that anyone has stepped forward to say, yes, we're moving forward. That's not happening yet. So here's what I'll also have to ask you all. If you all have any relationships with any attorneys, anyone that does this kind of work, that seeing the level of detail and evidence that, yes, I've had to pull together, it has not been easy. This has been the most difficult season of my life. But when your child dies, it's what you have to do. In my opinion, I couldn't imagine myself doing anything else than what I'm doing. He didn't deserve this. And so if you all have any resources or contacts that can help, I definitely would be appreciative of that. Mr. Taylor, if you can put the email address up there as well. The justice. Yeah, I'll do that. Okay.
Give me that. So hold on. Let me. You can say it while I type it.
No worries. Yes, sir. It is justice for the number 4, Joshua, Joshua, James, James, justice for Joshua James at proton, proton.me. So if anyone has anything to offer, private investigators, anything that you know about the local dynamics, any piece of information that you all can help with, again, the tremendous work that Mr. Richard Taylor has done on his YouTube channel, the public responding, y'all, it has done amazing things. So, I have gotten that locals know that my son didn't do this, but in that same breath, nobody's been willing to tell me anything out here. The dynamics are much different than Henderson, North Carolina. We are still very much the minority. Stillwater is not a small town, it's a college town. One of the Oklahoma State universities out there. I've researched and Googled some things that they're saying race relations are getting better, but I've also heard there's been some dynamics in the area of mysterious deaths that don't get answered. And look, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So regardless of who it's happening to, who it's happening through, we got to do better. And so I'm going to go ahead and, am I sharing my screen now, Mr. Taylor?
You are.
Okay. All right. So then I just wanted to show you all this is and again, I want to maintain transparency. If they did something and they responded, I want to be honest about it. Kudos. I got this. Printed October 7th. It says status approved, report type patrol, primary officer, James Droscher, investigator, Rachel Bruce, records technician, Sharon Burrow, reported at 4/4/9/31, incident date 4/4/24, 8:15. Now that's confusing. I don't know how the incident date is 8:15, but the report is 9/31. That's the first time I'm noticing that. Wow. Okay. All right. Incident date code. Sorry. Found body. Has the location. Says court none. I don't know what this e-referral county none. And then it just says disposition administratively cleared. Nothing to see here. No, they're there. Bagged and tagged, nothing for us to worry about. Disposition, date and time. They say 9/17/24. That's a bit confusing. 4:09. Don't know what that means. Review for gang activity, none. He wasn't involved in any. And special approval needed for property disposal, no. And I wouldn't expect that there was any special approval because, again, if you listen to the first live, just by asking, I was denied his wallet, his keys at all. Never got his keys back. His house key, his mail key, his car key, never got that back. But I was denied his wallet, his vape, and also his cell phone for 3 months. But the girlfriend was given his entire keys. And again, the thing that you'll also hear on the audios is when I talked to the detective the next day, she mentions he had a wallet, keys, vape, and a cell phone, right? And that the funeral home, when they got his body, they would get everything but the cell phone. The ME says the same thing. When the funeral home gets his body, I'd say probably about 10-ish days later, they are not given any of those items. They are given one single item with a single inventory sheet, and it's a watch that is not mentioned by either the detective or the medical examiner that I talked to in Oklahoma City. All of a sudden there's a watch, but none of the rest of his stuff is provided. You'll see in the 24-minute video we go through is that the evidence bags that I was finally given my son's stuff in, his phone, his wallet, his vape, they have the dates on them of May 7th and May 13th, I believe, which means that they would have been out of evidence in the chain of custody from April 4th all the way till 5/7, which was the last phone call the detective and I had, where I basically told her, I can't get on the phone anymore. I'm going to pursue other authorities, spiritual, legal, lawful, because basically y'all are lying to me and playing in my face. I can't do this anymore. Good luck to you. So we're going to get into that in a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and close and stop sharing here for now and then come back out of this. And
excuse me once again, give me that Cash App again as well.
I appreciate that. Absolutely. Cash App is #FightToFreedom. And that's Fight TO Freedom is the Cash App tag. You got it, sir. Justice for Joshua James. Yeah. Cash App tag. Fight to Freedom. Yeah. If anyone uses Venmo, it's at First Fight to Freedom Family, all spelled out. But thank you all so much for anything that you can send, provide, share. All is appreciated and reviewed. I did actually get, and I wanted to shout out a handful of you that did send some donations the other day. I really appreciate it because, again, all of it matters. As you all can see, the level of work that I'm putting into all of this has become a full-time job. So that's creating other dynamics because this is a lot. This is not actually my job. It would be the job of the 6 people on that report. However, for some reason, they're not convinced they should do it. So I'm having to. Here we are now. I'm going to go ahead and let's see what we have next. Are there any questions that are coming up, Mr. Taylor? Anything that anyone wants to delve further into?
See.
Why do my balls smell like death?
There's no
Okay.
no questions I see, just a lot of comments. But you can
Okay,
go ahead
great.
and continue with the.
All right, perfect. And then the last thing, I guess I'll just show just for transparency. They sent me those non-reports. Really, that's how I feel about them, but it is what it is. Didn't give a whole lot of information. And then basically they sent me an invoice, which honestly, I know, I guess sometimes maybe you have to pay for it again. Is it appropriate for grieving parent family members to give additional money for them to do the job they're already getting public paychecks for? I don't know. Somebody let me know. If somebody knows, I'd appreciate the insight. If you can see, can you see my screen, sir?
Uh-oh, we're doing a little lagging. Okay.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Oh yeah, okay, hold on. Let me put it up there. Okay, it's up there.
Okay, great. So then, and this was the other thing, you know, they said if you're agreeable with the expenses, no, I don't really agree that I should have to pay for this, but if that's what you need to do to send me an invoice, this is also what they gave me, is if you want information, okay, you can pay for it. So I guess they're thinking the flash drive is $5. The redaction processing is $30 unit price at 12 hours. They anticipate handling and postage $865. They want $180 up front, $180 upon completion. So that's what I got.
So was that to redact? Was that to redact the information?
That is to get a bunch of redacted information, absolutely, to pay for more cover up, right? So that's, I see Easy 7700 says, where was he found? They say allegedly he was found at a tree at Boomer Lake Park in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Yeah, someone else says an invoice for them to do their job. Have you contacted the Attorney General? No, not yet. Thank you for your condolences. Really appreciate that. Been there. Justice for Joshua, absolutely. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and continue on. Number 2, we had the focus. Okay, medical examiner's report. Here we go. I'm going to go ahead and pull that up. We're going to go over the ME report. So give me just one moment. I've got it here. Oh, wait. This might be a conversation actually with the medical examiner. It looks like it. Are you good for it? Do you think we should go ahead and do it? Mr. Taylor? Did I lose you? Okay, I feel like I'm still live, but I think that we lost him. Can anyone still see me in the chat? He got kicked off? Okay, I don't know how that happened. Okay, I'm sure he's gonna be back. Okay. So you all see me. I'm sure he's going to come back into the room. I don't know how that could have even occurred. You see me full screen. That's what I see on my end as well. So I'm going to go ahead. Richard will be back. Some brains on the stove. Okay, baby. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pull up what I was looking to pull up, which is the ME report. Just to be respectful of everyone's time, we want to get through this within 2 hours, and I was trying to really pull a lot together. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this up. And he actually is the one, his functionality needs to, I think, make my shared screen work. But I'm going to try it and see if y'all can see it. I don't know if you can unless he makes it big on his screen. But I'm going to do my best. Do you all see anything? And now I can't see you all. Hold on. I think people are messing with this live. The show must continue. Okay, there he is. Okay, your backdrop is showing, not the house. Just so you know that. You good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me see what I can do here. But go ahead, you can keep talking though.
Okay, I pulled up the ME report, but I think you have to make it appear on screen. Uh-oh. So, okay, thank you, Easy 7700. Oh, wait. No, I'm sorry, that was Diane. My sister is a 911 operator, and she says that you can find the codes for 911 on Google and Bing. Thank you so much, I appreciate that. What was the girlfriend's reaction when he was allegedly found hanging? So the detective, Rachel Bruce, and I actually talked about that when I finally asked them, why was she deemed so credible to be the only person y'all talked to before you determined nothing to see here, we buy her account? They said that they believed her because she appeared credible, because she was upset and crying. and because she was forthcoming with information. So after the Emmy report, I'm going to give some feedback again from a professionally done report by NPR, as well as some former Oklahoma City detectives, as well as also detectives from Colorado, and what they have to say about people that are forthcoming with information, and just that whole general sense of professional suspicion and doubt of everything that everyone says, right? After someone is found in an unattended death. You don't just take their word for it and run with it. That is not normal police behavior, especially from the other party of a relationship that just broke up 12 hours before someone wound up dead. I think we all know that, whether we're in law enforcement or not. And so this was abnormal behavior, abnormal patternistic treatment, and non-investigation to just swipe it under the rug and hope that I would accept the version and go away. But this is my child. And so unfortunately, that can't happen. And yes, someone mentioned the ex-law enforcement. I mean, there's definitely deferential treatment that was given that was extremely different for her and her side of the family, as opposed to us, which is come get them, and basically, why are you even asking questions? So I don't know if you're able to.
We were trying to actually, the internet went out, so it's not. Y'all see, I'm at a different location. I'm actually in my daughter's room, so
you're good.
The
Let me try something.
This weird new tool is quickly becoming the most popular Christmas gift of 2024. So my wife got me this.
So I had to use my phone to continue the live. So I'm trying to see. It's not showing me where to add your screen at. So I've never done it on the phone before. So bear with me. Maybe I'll figure it out.
You're good. You're fine. I'm trying to, because I see the screen that I pulled up with the Emmy report, and I'm just trying to see if I can put it into the show. I don't know that I can.
Yeah, I don't think you can either. Somewhere. Where is? Let me see. Oh no, I got it. I found it. You found it?
Okay. So if you can put it up on your end, there you go. Thank you so much. Okay, perfect.
I found it.
There we go. All right. So no, you're fine. It happens. Technical difficulties, but we're still here. So thank you so much. All right. I'm not going to I can't see the screen right now. So if y'all are commenting, Ms. Taylor, if you need to jump in, please feel free, because I'm having to just read it from my screen because I can't see it. It's too small on yours. That's okay. So here we go. This is the chief medical examiner's report. What it says is my son's name, decedent, right? Age 25, 7/24/98, black male, home address, officer, Cody Manuel, Stillwater Police Department. He's notified as examiner notified by him. And they say that they were notified, it looks like at 10:16. So it looks like the call maybe came in at 9:31. I do remember them saying, I thought I heard 9:15, but the other report said 8:15. So it looks like at least 45 minutes after they found his body from the last time that was listed of 9:31, 10:16 is when the medical examiner was notified. Again, don't know if that's a normal time lag to notify a medical examiner, but that's what it is. Injured or became ill at. Now, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because again, I don't understand coordinates, but it says 344 feet east of North, and then some numbers. Stillwater, Payne County, Park Lake, Boomer Lake, end of Northwest Peninsula. So again, I don't know if we have anybody from the area. It says, okay, there's another time. It says he was found at 9:15. So again, I'm confused with the differences, and he was found at 9:15, but the first call came through at 9:31. I'm trying to make that make sense. Body viewed by medical examiner at 921 Northeast 23rd Street, Oklahoma City, in an autopsy suite at 8:30. I'm gonna have to assume that would be 8:30 that evening. No, that would be 8:30 that morning, because 4/5 is the day after. And I had a conversation with Oklahoma City Emmy that said, okay, we're done. And that was probably somewhere around 1 o'clock time frame. And so that would have been the next morning at 8:30 is when they're saying they viewed him in the autopsy suite, although an autopsy wasn't done. I see external physical examination on the line with complete and jaw. That's checked. Arms passing, legs passed for rigor. I don't know if anybody knows what that means. The liver, posterior, purple. I don't know if everybody can see this. I don't know that I need to read everything because we have a lot to get through. But beard black, hair black, eyes brown, mustache black. I don't know if that's his pupils, body length and weight. Okay, 176 pounds. Y'all, I do actually have another picture of the tree. However, when the Javion McGee case broke and I watched that it's normal for them to do a timeline and actually do investigative work and provide it to the family as well as pictures, I actually had said to a friend on the phone, I'm going to set up a TikTok and I'm going to get it out there that way because maybe the Instagram live for an hour was too much. Well, I woke up Monday morning, so it would have been after I set it on my phone that Sunday night, and my phone screen was literally dancing. I tried to pull the SIM card out because sometimes if you put a phone passcode in wrong more than a certain amount of time, it will actually lock itself, and that is absolutely what happened to my phone. So I actually have pictures that also show, and this is going to be very similar to the tree that allegedly Mr. McGee was found on. It was a pretty flimsy tree, actually. It's not a big, thick tree. And so some of the pictures I had were taken by someone else that they were zoomed in and up close. The pictures that I have are actually showing it in its environment, showing that it's not a massive tree. And definitely that branch with the indentions that we saw with the actual jacket string did not hold 176 pounds in rigor mortis, when also the markings that we saw were on one side of his neck and not completely around his neck. So that's some important things to point out for those that maybe didn't see the first live that we did a few days ago. Okay, so here we go. Significant observations and injury documentations. Number one, hanging. It says A, found suspended from a tree branch by a ligature around the neck. So suspended from a tree branch by a ligature around the neck. So you all heard before, if you go back and listen, her narrative was that basically he did a carotid artery restraint against himself. His hand was still up at his own neck. It never, it never followed the laws of gravity and fell the whole time he was up there. But basically he cut off his breathing. It was peaceful. He leaned into the side of his jacket strings and peacefully stood up at the tree with his feet always on the ground and crossed over from this life into the next. That's what the detective told me. And yes, that's on audio. That does not appear to be what is in this Emmy report, which is why I'm having such a difficult time accepting what they have said. B, ligature furrow impressions overlying superficial anterior neck vasculature. Somebody said in the last live that they were a nurse. I've tried to reply to comments. If you can, email me if anyone has any further ability to interpret these things and what this means. I would really appreciate that because they haven't taken the time to explain any of this to me. Number two, toxicological analysis are positive for ethanol. So ethanol is alcohol. I Googled that. It says see toxicology report. They're saying that the ethyl alcohol was 0.15 GDL heart and 0.112 GDL vitreous. That might mean like in the veins, I'm not sure. But what I found on Google is that that's not so much of an amount that he was completely out of it. And if he was, that makes the story that he did a carotid artery, balanced his hand around his neck, stood on an uneven stump, and defied gravity and leaned peacefully into his death while inebriated and not having any glasses. That makes it even more crazy. So the fact that there was a little bit of alcohol You know, I just, anyways, probable cause of death. Wow. It says probable cause. I don't know if that's significant, because that doesn't sound like that's a full-blown determination, or maybe that's the way it's supposed to look. Probable doesn't seem like that's determined. It says hanging. Do you see that? Have you seen that before, Mr. Taylor?
The probable cause?
Yes. Is that how it's normally listed?
Yes.
Okay.
The report I've seen, yes.
Okay, good. All right. Well, not good, but I didn't know. Okay, probable cause is hanging. It says manner of death.
Have you ever dreamed about living in glorious harmony with nature and like-minded individuals, going off-grid and being self-sufficient?
The S word. Case disposition, autopsy, no. Why not? Lieutenant Cody Manuel said his body was being taken to the Oklahoma City Medical Examiner for autopsy. Why not? And I guess the disposition was authorized by Aurori Deol, D.O. I did research and realized this is someone out of Tulsa. The two offices work together, apparently. So medical examiner, it's the information there, case number. Now, the thing that was interesting that I did see is date case finalized. It says 6/21/2024. I'm not sure why I had to wait 3 months to get this report. Going on to further imaging, digital photographs and radiographs of the deceased are taken. It says evidence of medical therapy, evidence of medical intervention is not seen. General observations, there's a faint impression of the skin, faint impression on the skin of the right mid neck that measures that amount and is located 27 centimeters from the top of the head. Minimal changes of decomposition. It says evidence of injury. The below injuries are ordered for convenience without regard to chronology. Please reference the corresponding body diagram. Oh, well, that's another thing I'm noticing right now. Where's the corresponding body diagram? That's interesting. Have you seen that before, Mr. Taylor?
What? Nah, I mean, normally when I get those reports, the body diagram is attached to them. So, yeah.
Okay, I'm finding out live for the first time with you all. There's no body diagram. It's referenced, but it's not here. Again, I would want to know why. Wow. Evidence of injury includes. So what I'm going to just mention here, because if we get into the weeds, I can continue to read, but one of the things that you all will notice is as we saw pictures of him that were taken by third parties in the funeral home visiting room, siblings, his father, myself, we all took pictures. And one of the things we talked about yesterday and showed you all was evidence of 3 indentions in the temple of his head. So what I can point out immediately that we don't see when it says head and neck is there's nothing about 3 holes in the side of my son's head that do look like taser marks. And I'm going to show some pictures from Google of the fact that taser marks look like these 3 marks that were on my son's head that we saw in the last live. They show a neck circumference, anterior neck, right neck, left neck, posterior neck, ligature. Is everybody able to read this and see this, Mr. Taylor?
I know I can't on my phone. Y'all tell me, can y'all read that on y'all screens real quick? Y'all let me know in the chat if y'all can read that on y'all screen. We must all take a course. I can read it, they said, so yeah, they can read it.
Okay, good. So what I'm going to do, since it's been up for a while, I'm going to bypass it. And that was the biggest thing. And they also don't show something else that we saw yesterday with the pictures, which is the dry blood on his lip. That's covered heavily, again, if you go back and watch the first live that we did. So they don't show the indentions in his head, the holes. They don't show the blood on his lip in any of this. They go into torso, upper extremities, lower extremities, tattoos, scars, tissue donation. People have asked, are his organs intact? It says evidence of organ and tissue donation is not seen. His driver's license did not say that he was. And I've had conversations with my boys and have said don't. Again, everybody has a different opinion on this, but it's for reasons like this that I don't ever want my children in a position, or myself, where if we're allegedly found dead, all of a sudden body parts start missing before family can find out what really happened. So he was not an organ donor. I will say that there's progress, but also if you all have good referrals for private autopsies, please email those, please share those. That is still needed, necessary, and appreciated. Board of, I'm not even going to try to read all of this, but report of lab analysis. This is the part that basically it says blood, vitreous, urine. It had a hold status of 60 days. I don't know if that's normal or not. Medical examiner submitted by Promise Dean or Deanne. And then this is the alcohol levels: blood 0.15, vitreous 0.12, blood carbon monoxide, or I guess carbon monoxide blood, there's nothing there. Test performed, they did test for EIA, femoral blood, amphetamines, which he didn't use, methamphetamines, which he didn't use, fentanyl, didn't use, cocaine, any of the stuff, opioids, PCP, barbiturates, benzodiazepines. The EIA panel does not detect oxycodone, methadone, or clonazepam. Any of these things, basically none of those stuff came up. Results none detected. Okay, so that is the Emmy report. We've talked about the things that are glaringly missing from it, and some other questions. If y'all have any feedback or any answers on that, please definitely share. All right, I'm gonna take a breath for just a moment and see if I'm back on screen. Does anyone have any thoughts? They can look at all the evidence. They clearly don't care, right? I'll send you information. Thank you so much. Based in Chicago. Well, you know, his body might have to travel. I don't know, but definitely I want to make sure that happens. I'm looking at, that's hard info to read about your child. Yes, it is, Miss Lady Bride. I remember you from the previous live. Good to see you back. Let's see. Blood coagulates as it dries. Michelle, if you have some further feedback on what that means or what you're getting at, I think I just missed it and I apologize. Do not sign the back of your driver. That's right, for organ donation. Send you information. Thank you, FMS Forensic Mortuary. Appreciate that. They're based in Chicago. Someone says they don't think get justice because the whole dating colonizers. Okay. Well, I hope that's not the case, but it's a valid concern. So thank you for sharing that. The John Q movie. I love that movie, John Q. Let's see. Have to teach. Yeah. Enlarge, but can read. The body will not bruise or bleed post-mortem. Correct. So this was something that I got from a funeral director that has funeral home, mortuary. Is that was explained in the early days, is that if by chance what they said happened at the tree didn't happen, there's not going to be any marking after the fact. And I just lost the comment. Can you see it? Okay. Says Raganel says the body will not bruise or bleed post-mortem. Pulse blood pressure is needed as a driving pumping force. Vitreous refers to the colloidal fluid, the humor in the eye. So I don't know if you've seen the first live. I would love if you can go back and watch that one that we did. Was it the 15th, Mr. Taylor? Because, yeah, the 15th. There were some pictures that, you know, they're not gruesome pictures. They're not graphic. But if you can go back, it looks like you've got a little bit more knowledge about what should and shouldn't be happening. Towards the end, I would say probably about the hour-and-a-half mark, we actually show pictures of his body from the viewing room. So if you can go back and look and maybe leave some comments or email me, that would be appreciated. Holding it together. Lots of people have been praying and just, I have to, right? That giving up is not an option. He deserves for me to continue to fight, but thank you, CG, for that. Disturbing delay with everything in these types of cases. Yes, I agree.
So,
Girl did.
just to give you a heads up, Marlon, we really only got 20 minutes. So if you want to continue to interact with the audience, we can.
You probably know Vistaprint for business cards.
Yep.
But did you know we also print these?
Or, you know, if you got something else you want to show real briefly, because, you know, it's getting 10. As y'all know, I'm in my daughter room, so she got to go to school tomorrow. So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
I got you, sir. We're going to blaze through some stuff. So I'm going to show a couple of things. Just, let's see here. You know what? No, I'm not going to scratch these. Can you, sorry. I just want to go over something really quickly about, no, I can't even, I'm trying to figure out, okay, present, sorry.
Yeah.
All right, so I wanted to bring up just a couple of things with the way that the detective described how he allegedly unalived. What she was explaining is that he cut off his own carotid artery. And so again, as I Googled, I searched because I tried to ask her to help me understand it. She really didn't do much to explain it. Actually, what she said is if I wanted to still come in after telling me I couldn't see the pictures, she said she would demonstrate it for me, like physically demonstrate it. But wouldn't show me the pictures. So if you look at a carotid restraint, it says a police department technique used to subdue aggressors. Many police agencies do not allow it to be used, or officers must go through specialized training. In this method, the carotid arteries are obstructed, cutting off blood flow to the brain and rendering the person unconscious within 30 seconds. So as she describes in the first audio, don't worry, it was peaceful, he didn't suffer. He was able to just kind of lean into his jacket strings and cut off the blood flow within seconds and just peacefully stand up against a tree leaning to death with his feet always on the ground. So again, I struggle with this because everything I searched on the internet for how people do this to themselves say it's a police department technique. The other concern I have is how do you know that it was peaceful and he didn't suffer and he went in like 30 seconds? Was she or someone she knows there? That was the story I was given in the beginning. And then of course, this link, I'll drop all these links in the comments. Can you all still see my screen?
No, we keep, okay, there we go. Hold on.
Oh, okay, sorry. As I was reading that, I thought my screen was up. Can you see it now?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, you got to, because I can't see it unless, you know, you tell me. But it's up now, though.
Okay, great. So just wanted to show you
So
all
it's up
when I
there
was.
now.
Yep, thank you so much. So as I was looking again, it just says carotid restraint. This is the ways that basically people are strangled and how it's done. And this version that she explained to me only exists as a police department technique, not something that people do to themselves. Manual strangulation, again, it talks about different ways it happens, ligature strangulation, hanging. I will drop this link in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and go over to taser marks. These were just found on Google, nothing gruesome, but as you can see, there are 3 marks. They don't necessarily follow any particular pattern. My son had 3 indentions in his head that are not mentioned in the ME report. Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm looking, I wanted to go over the carotid artery, the taser marks. The other thing I wanted to go over, this was important, I wanted to mention. Can you all still see my screen okay, Mr. Taylor?
Yes, it's up there.
Okay, this was an article done by NPR that says Oklahoma's lack of resources means few autopsies. I'm going to go ahead and jump to the part that is important and relevant to what we've been talking about over these last 2 lives. And this was done February 1st, 2011. I don't know if they've corrected this problem since then. I would hope so, but I just want to bring our attention to this here. It says Oklahoma typically does not autopsy possible suicides or alleged, S's. In most instances, it does not autopsy people age 40 or older who die of unexplained causes. My son was 25. If they did an autopsy on every S, it would be all consuming. But experts called Oklahoma's practices alarming. A savvy criminal can make a third-party unaliving look like a self-unaliving, said Dr. Robert Bucks, a forensic pathologist who serves as coroner for El Paso County, Colorado. The only way you're going to be able to sort it out from my standpoint is to do a complete autopsy, Bucks said. The next came from an Oklahoma City Police Department detective. I've had a lot of S cases, they did an autopsy, added Kyle Eastridge, a former H detective with the Oklahoma City Police Department and the Oklahoma State Police. He says, I don't think that every S is a M, but I think we miss M's by not doing autopsies. So those three particular articles on the carotid artery restraint, the taser marks, and the fact that, again, skilled people that would know how to make it look one way, if it was another way, I'll put those in the chat, or maybe we can put them in the description, Mr. Taylor. Last thing I'll go ahead and pull up real quick, and I'll just do this. Stillwater PD loses evidence. Again, I don't know if we have anybody. There was someone from the 405 in here, so I know close in Oklahoma City, an hour up the road. This is something that happened May 16, 2023. Stillwater Police Department's loss of evidence could continue to impact criminal court system. I mentioned one of the things I was disturbed by is when I was going through my son's phone, the detective says to me in the first phone call that, as I told her, there was a Ring camera at the door, right? Detective says he left once, never to be seen again until he's at Boomer Lake. Girlfriend says he left twice. I said, Detective, you know they have a Ring camera at their door. She tells me, yes, I've gotten it. I've clipped it. I've saved it. It's in the phone. We'll never lose it. I look in the phone. A video that my son saw while we were on our Florida trip 2 weeks prior to his passing is in his phone. The clip from the front door is not. So again, obstructing evidence intentionally, accidentally, this impacts our ability to get truth, transparency, and justice. It looks like they've had some difficulties with this before. And so I'll make sure that all four of these links get out there for those that want to also see some of the things that are going on. All right, the only thing I have left on my list for tonight, Mr. Taylor, was just a couple of things from the 24-minute video and the 45-minute video. I didn't want to do the whole thing. And then audios, we'd mentioned already, we thought that might be a third live, so we might want to hold off for that so we can get you kind of closed out and get your daughter's room back. So do you want us to go to, do you want me to go ahead and do just a little bit of the video of the actual evidence? Would that be okay for a few minutes?
Yeah, like I said, we only got 14 minutes, so I don't know how much we can do within that time, but we definitely have to be wrapping it up.
Absolutely, I love it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, let me see here. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can pull up. Maybe drop in the chat. What do you think, from what you know is in those videos, would be the most substantial? I'm going to just go ahead and show what is on the scene. Can you still see my screen?
No, you're not sharing it. You're
okay, let me go ahead. Let me go back into sharing again. Okay, let's see here. All right. Wait a minute. That's not it. Here we go. Physical evidence. So this is one that I did on the Justice for Joshua James YouTube channel to prepare for this one, so we don't go over everything. But I'm just going to show you all a little bit from the tree and what, unfortunately, I had to find the next day. That was left on the ground. We got confirmation. Can you hear okay? You will see a picture of this from the ground. Mr. Taylor, you you guys are
Yeah,
seeing
yeah,
it
yeah.
first
You're
time,
fine.
and actually there's even some pieces of dirt here, if y'all can see it. I don't want to disturb or get rid of any of the dirt or even the grass. So I'm not going to twist it too much. But if you all can see, that is actually a tightener for the part of the jacket that I'm going to show you here in just a moment. Y'all, this was left on the ground. I don't think fingerprints can still be taken off of plastic 6 months later, but in the rare event that it can be, I'm going to put it back in here because, again, apparently my son's life wasn't valuable enough and didn't matter enough for law enforcement to actually do this. So that particular part of what you've seen, again, if you go back to the first live, I'm going to go ahead and show the jacket. These are the bags we got from the funeral home. This is the jacket. That is how much string was available for him to somehow either put it all the way around his neck and choke himself and also put it around the tree, or to just somehow tighten it and lean into it. In any event, yes, it was cut, but one side did not hold. Again, 179 pounds. I don't even know how this could occur. What I kept seeing in the comments from the other lives, people kept referring to it as basically a shoestring. Exactly. But I just wanted y'all to see, we weren't sure we went to the right tree because my boys and I, two of my boys and I had to go to the scene by ourselves because it's 5 o'clock. We're getting off work. We can't take you out there to the tree. And so when we went the next day, we weren't sure we were at the right tree. She did give me a map, basically, of Stillwater Park, Boomer Lake Park. But we looked around for any signs of Joshua being there, and one of my sons looked down and saw on the ground, hey, what's this? Because they told us it was a jacket. He thought maybe this is relevant. And so he had a napkin in his pocket, never touched it, grabbed it with the napkin. We put it in that napkin and then put it in plastic. It has not been touched. If fingerprints could still be on it 6 months later and anybody knows that, again, please email, please reach out. But this is the jacket. Tall or short or little this is, allegedly this is what did it. This is what we are to believe. If you can see just this other side, this is the part where that plastic part goes to. And just in case y'all didn't see it for sure, I want to make sure that I show this is the other jacket string that I'm sorry, the other fastener that I just showed y'all. So that's when we definitely knew we were at the right tree. We went to the tree on 4/5. We went to the tree the day after. We did not get his clothing back until April 17th, which would have been 12 days later. And that's when we knew we were at the right tree that they were alleging he was at, because the plastic tightener preceded, us getting his clothes back, us being in possession of that plastic tightener. At one point I had a conversation with the detective and I said, we found, y'all literally left. You did a preliminary investigation to say no foul play, and you all literally left the plastic tightener to my son's jacket on the ground at the tree. No, we didn't. Yes, you did. No, we didn't. I don't know if I told her I have it, but she tried to argue with me that no, they did not leave that at the tree. So just showing the level of non-concern and non-thorough and negligent non-investigation that was done to basically grab them, bag them, tag them, and move on. This is also why it's so disturbing. I'm trying to be mindful of time, so I'm just going to show the evidence bags really quickly, just so y'all can see what I mentioned before. Those that know about chain of custody and evidence, there's a really important process that it needs to go through, so things are not just hanging out, I don't know, at people's houses. And yeah, mom wants it back, so you got to bring it back. Possibly. Did that happen? I don't know. I don't know why they didn't go into evidence bags until 513. Has the vape. Another thing I want to show off these bags. Sorry. This was listed as item 184. Y'all can see that. The other thing I thought was interesting is if you can see when that actually went into evidence, it says 5/13/2024. Joshua McDaniel's cell phone, Apple phone 12, iPhone 12. So this is disturbing because if there was no investigation, if there was no investigation and it was already determined, the girlfriend told us what happened, we believe her story the very next day, why was this phone kept out of evidence from 4/5 to 5/13? The others are going to show 5/7. So again, just to respect out of time, if you guys want to see more of that, then you can definitely go to the Justice for Joshua James channel and you'll see the full 24 minutes. Let me see here. I'm going to go ahead and stop. Well, let me do one more quick thing just to show you some of the things.
We got to stop right now. We got to start right now. It's 9:55.
Okay,
but I thank you for, taking the time to, put all the information together. I hope you made it clear to the audience. You definitely have a lot of support. So we're going to have to revisit this. But, we thank everybody in the chat for tuning in. Like I said, I'm out of my normal location. So we're going to have to, once again, bring Miss Marlena back and let you hear some of those calls. I think those calls are very introspective and showing how they just pretty much disregarded this case. I do feel, as I feel with all of these suspensions from trees by strings, I feel all of these situations involve some level of third party interference or second party interference. So we want to thank y'all guys for tuning in. Once again, you see her information. You got the email up there, and if you do want to contribute, you can. But I certainly thank everyone for tuning in. I thank you, Miss Marlena, for being so passionate and being so prepared. And most of all, we thank the Most High God, because He is the one who looks over us and watches over us and helps us throughout these difficult times. And as always, we're going to stand on Luke 12 and 12:2-3. For there is nothing covered that will not be revealed, nor hidden that will not be known. Therefore, whatever you have spoken in the dark will be heard in the light. And whatever you have spoken in the ear in the inner rooms will be proclaimed on the housetop. So whatever these people are doing in the dark is definitely going to come to the light. Many people are calling this the year of exposure. So, we definitely want to be mindful, watchful, prayerful, vigilant, wise as serpents and gentle as doves, as the scripture says. Well, I thank you, Miss Marlena. Y'all make sure, once again, y'all like and share, subscribe to the video. And we're going to be back with, part 3 at a later date. But thank you, Marlena. Thank you, audience. And we'll talk to you guys another time.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. I appreciate you, sir. Prayers, blessings for you and your family. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Let's see if we...
So you came back after all this time for Kwame, but not for me?